Sure. All right. Let me give you the contenders, the official true contenders. We got the Packers, we got the Lions, we got the Bucks, we've got the Rams, we've got the Chiefs, we've got the Bills. And lastly, I'm going to name this team because they were actually in the tier below. Before it was named, the Eagles, the defending champion Eagles, were actually in the same category that I had the Steelers, that I had the Colts, that I had the Broncos. There was actually a few other teams in there from tiers below too, but the Eagles I had originally in the second tier, or the first to last tier, if you want to call it that. That's where the Eagles were. I talked myself out of it. But, last we saw them, they were getting dog walked in Jersey by the New York Giants, and we all picked the Eagles to win. I thought that was a perfect opportunity. I've said time and time again early on, yeah, they win ugly, but they kind of want to win ugly. And that was a perfect opportunity to just let Saquon loose, dominate the game, just get out of there healthy. Don't let the Giants do too much. And they couldn't do it. So Eagles are on my watch list for a team to drop, honestly. Every other team on this list, I'm cool with. Lions losing by double digits, whatever. I'm still confident in them. Packers, they're coming off a bye. They got their mojo back. Chiefs, I said after week 2, I don't think they're a contender anymore. They quickly proved me wrong. They look great. The defense comes and goes, seemingly. But, that was a great win, obviously, against the Lions. They did what they do. Bills back-to-back losses. Ugly loss against the Falcons. That's just a terrible, old-school Josh Allen just didn't have it kind of loss. Like, he obviously made the plays, but, man, they actually forced him into some mistakes. He held the ball too long. It's funny to see, other football podcasts, other media, like, ready to jump off the Bills bandwagon all of a sudden. I'm not going to go that far. But if you had to give me 2 teams out of this category that I'm really watching to maybe fall off, it would be more so the Eagles than the Bills. Bills, it's going to be interesting to see if they can keep pace with the Patriots if they win the way we think they're going to.
Yeah. I thought that the Bills were going to have, especially 2 weeks ago, coming off of the fact that the Chiefs were 2-2, looking up at a Lions game and other tough games. We were all looking like, wait, the Bills should run away with a 1 seed. Now, obviously, not so much. They're not even winning their division. But I agree with this because here's the thing. Even though you can point to flaws, oddly enough, like Kansas City and Tampa are the 2 teams that I feel the most them and the Lions, so I'd feel the most confident right now. Green Bay, they just play up to their competition or down to their competition. So, like, every time they play a bad team, they look like they want to lose it. But then when they play a really good team, they will play well. So, Green Bay is tough to evaluate. But KC looks like when Mahomes is confident and looking like Mahomes is confident, then you're fine with them. Tampa, obviously, the thing is they're winning these games. Baker's looking like an MVP. And they have so many people who are going to be geared coming back from injury. And then
everyone's darling right now. The Bucs right now.
Yeah, I know. I try to tell people.
Yeah.
But to be quite honest with you, I have these as the true contenders, and I would agree with you for all 6 teams because outside of these 6 teams, there's not a team that I can mentally picture out of the rest of the league other than maybe the Chargers that I could.
There's 7 teams about now.
Oh wait, who was the 7th team? Which one did I miss?
We got Eagles, Packers, Lions, Bucks, Rams.
Rams. That was the one that I missed. Yeah, 7 teams. Even the Rams were fine there too. They apply to this. There's not a team outside of maybe the Chargers, and that's a high maybe. And then maybe if Jaden does something crazy, that I could see holding a trophy, a Lombardi, after, other than these 7. So I would agree with that. Like, I could see a picture of all 7, like Goff, Allen, Love, Mahomes, Hurts, Baker, Stafford. I could see all of them this year holding that. Be real difficult for me to see Indiana Jones holding that. Like,
I would say quickly before we let Tim and Brandon go, I would say these are the first 7. But I feel like you can make a strong case if you're Indy to be in this category. If you're Pittsburgh, if you're fans of these teams.
Okay. If you are fans of these teams,
because I do think it's wide open enough to where I'm not going to be surprised if we look up and Denver is just facing whoever in the Super Bowl. So you know what I mean? It could be one of those years.
You're right. It could be one of those years.
But these would be the first 7. Right now, I can't imagine someone other than these 7. So I'm with you there. These are the first 7.
Keenan Warner coming into going into week 7 right now, could not picture any of these other teams holding up a trophy. Could it actually happen in this kind of NFL? Sure. But me personally, those 7 guys and quarterbacks and teams are the only ones I could see on the ESPN ticker at the bottom. Blank won the Super Bowl. All right, so our blank Super Bowl champions. Because if I saw that from Pittsburgh, I'd probably be like, what happened? Indy, what happened? For me personally, Denver, what happened? Or the 49ers, how'd they do it? No Fred Warner and they did it? Like, what are we doing? Like, I'd be shocked.
Let me ask the 3 of you this, and we'll start with either Tim or Brandon here.
Yeah.
Out of these 7 teams, right now, if you had to pick one, who's the Super Bowl champion coming out of this? Or who's your Super Bowl participants? Who's your AFC and NFC representative? Let's do that. You didn't got to pick a winner. Just give me an AFC and an NFC if you had to pick 2 right now.
I hate my answer. Like, I really, really hate my answer. I think the Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl this year.
No.
And I think they defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I at least love that part of it. And I'll be rooting for Baker all the way. But, man, they looked pretty damn good against the Lions. A lot of people want to chalk that up to they didn't have any penalties and that they think it was like a reffing scandal. And
Lions
all this
only
stuff.
had 4.
Yeah, it wasn't a very penalized game all to begin with. And then if you go look at it, you can only find like 2 or 3, maybe 4 plays where you're like, oh, yeah, there's a clear penalty on Kansas City. And they're all kind of like holding penalties where a lot of refs just kind of don't call a lot of holding penalties. There's holding on every play. So if it's not right in the eyes of the ref, it's not going to be called. So I don't blame them for not calling them.
I didn't walk out of that game thinking to myself, the Chiefs benefited from the refs. I walked out of that game saying, the Lions just lost me a lot of money because they played poorly. I'm not gonna lie. That's really it.
The Jared Goff touchdown that got called back, I was a little upset with that because the call it came in like way too late. It should have been like right off the bat. They should have known. And
I also hate the call, like the fact that
it doesn't. No, the call is wrong. Like, it's incorrect. If he puts his hand under center, then he becomes a quarterback, and he is no longer available to motion like that. But he never did, so he doesn't have to get set because he can be the in moving guy at that point. So that's like an up in the air ruling that we don't know if it was the right call or not. To say that. So
the way the rest of the game played, the Chiefs would have won, but I would have won my money, which is why I'm upset about that.
With 7 instead of 3.
Would have won. They would have covered the +10 if that one singular play changes. So I'm upset about that specifically. But yeah.
I really don't love saying that the Chiefs are it, but they looked good. They've looked solid these last few games. Usually that game against Jacksonville is a classic Kansas City W. They usually win games like that, and they slipped on this one. They're about to get Rashee Rice back, so I think it's just going to make the offense better. And Mahomes is playing at like an MVP caliber level. I hate to say it, I really do, but he could win an MVP this year, and it wouldn't bother me because he is playing really good football. Baker is obviously the favorite, and I would put my vote on Baker to win it because he means more to his team, I think. But yeah, I would say that. And Kyle, to go back to your first point on the Eagles, put them in the tier below, man, because they've got problems that they got to figure out. They got to play a full game of football. They got to get some better blocking for Saquon. He's getting contacted on 35% of his runs behind the line of scrimmage. That's a problem. They can't run the football. They can barely throw the football. The defense hasn't even looked as dominant as it's supposed to be. At some point in the season, you can take away what they did last year. You can say, yes, they're the defending champions, but last year doesn't win you a Super Bowl this year. You know, at some point, there's got to be that point where we tip the scales, and I think I'm already on board with moving them down. They haven't looked as dominant in any of their games, aside from maybe that second half of the Rams game. So I'd be fine with moving them down.
Compelling case. I'm most concerned about Saquon. We'll talk about it. Well, they're playing no bye week, right? This Sunday they'll be playing.
No, Who are they playing right now? Give me a second.
I don't know
I'll
who
tell you.
they play, but
I'll
I'm pretty
tell
sure
you.
they're playing. Yeah.
Look that up.
They
Brandon, go
are.
ahead. Give me your Super Bowl
They're
participant.
playing the Vikings. That's right.
Okay, so hey, there's a perfect one.
In Minnesota.
There is a perfect one.
Even better. I love that it's in Minnesota.
On 10 days rest, too. On 10 days rest. Go win that game, Philly.
And Minnesota
Otherwise, yeah,
is
absolutely.
Go dominate that game. If they don't win by 10 points, I'm gonna be a little worried. They got 10 days rest coming off a terrible loss. They should absolutely smother the Vikings.
And then Minnesota is coming off of a bye, but they're coming from overseas too. So like it's a game where Carson Wentz is gonna be most likely playing his old team for revenge. So we'll see how it goes. Brandon, you go.
So I agree with the tier. I actually do agree with Tim. I would actually put the Eagles probably down a tier because I think there's too much going on with them. Just the lack of the offense looks so damn dysfunctional. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they finished as a 9 or 10 win team, like at this rate. Like I think they have real concerns. I think Jalen Hurts is part of this because of the passing offense. So I'd move them down a tier. For my Super Bowl prediction, out of the AFC, or who I would pick, out of the AFC, it probably would be Kansas City right now. I think Kansas City's going to start clicking on all cylinders, and as much as I hate to say it, it's probably going to be Kansas City out of the AFC, especially with the state of how the rest of the AFC looks. Now, if Buffalo gets it going, then I feel more confident picking Kansas City right now, this moment in time, versus Buffalo, because of obviously what we've seen recently. And the NFC. The NFC is where it gets interesting to me. I would love to go with the Rams. That was one of my teams coming into this season. I actually am not. I obviously have Tampa Bay. Keenan and I were super high on Tampa Bay this year. I think I had them at 14 wins.
You had 13-4, Adam 14-3, but we both were like they are going to be competing for a 1 seed pretty much.
And I just want to point out one thing. Baker Mayfield is my MVP pick this year. I love Tampa Bay. I actually bought a Baker Mayfield jersey. Okay. I love it. I'm here for it. They are missing their top 3 receivers right now. You have no Mike Evans. You have no Chris Godwin. Emeka Buka's out. Bucky Irving has been dead for half the year. The offensive line's been banged up. They've had guys in and out of the rotation on defense. Baker Mayfield is throwing to Tez Johnson, a 165-pound receiver. Cameron Johnson, don't even know who the guy is. He's throwing it to the ghost of K-Dot and Sterling Shepard, who's like 50 years old, 1 snap away from a retirement. It's Baker's year. Like once you get all those guys back, once you get Evans, Godwin, and Ibuka back with Bucky and then Rashad White, like good luck. Good luck to the rest of the NFL. Because Baker's playing lights out, and I'm taking Tampa Bay to win the Super Bowl.
I love it.
I pray that Tampa wins.
I hope. I would love it. So I said before the season, the Bucs were going to be reminiscent of the Atlanta Falcons in 16, the Panthers in 15, that NFC South team that gets hot, light division. They get to the playoffs. They have the MVP. They get to the Super Bowl, and they were going to lose to an all-time great quarterback, and Josh Allen's who I had. If right now it looks like they're going to be playing the Chiefs, if you don't ask me today, just because there's no the coming into the season, the 5 contenders we had: Bengals, Ravens, Bills, Chiefs. Really, those 4, and then you had you had to give the Texans credit; they were in the divisional round the last 2 years. Obviously the Texans were up in flux, but there's just no team in the AFC that even strikes fear at the moment. Buffalo defensively, they can't really stop a whole lot at the moment. And in a game like this, Kansas City is going to put up points. The Kansas City can now just move on you. They've made their running game not matter that much. So, and Buffalo they would need Josh Allen's Mona Lisa to beat them right now. He would need one of those. And I don't know if he's got it. I don't know if he's got that.
I'll say this. Look, Bills were my Super Bowl winner because
I'm going to roll with them still, but because it's so early. But if you ask me right now, I wouldn't. But go on.
Yeah, it was if it's not this year, then when is it type of thing? They had every game of promise at home. Travel was nothing crazy. Like they're I think they have the easiest travel schedule in the entire NFL. Um, I'm gonna roll with them even after these 2 losses, just because. Though I will say, like I was talking to Keenan, I think after one of our last pods, and I said if I ever came off like a hater to the Kansas City Chiefs over the last few years, it was because of the style of football they played. It's not because I hate Mahomes or I think they're a threat to the Patriots dynasty. This year they're fun to watch. So I'm cool with them. You know what I mean? If they were to make it to the Super Bowl again, whatever, at least it's a cool brand of football. At least they're passing the ball down the field. At least they're taking advantage of Mahomes' talents. And, by week 13, with all those receivers in tow and that running game's coming along, shit, if they make a trade, like that could be a very fun football team to watch. So I'm cool with them. If you gave me 2 teams, though, I'm going to stick with the Bills. The team I'm most confident in, though, out of the NFC, I get the Buccaneers love. I completely get it. Ken, like you said, you and Brandon especially were all on it. I think me and Tim agreed with y'all. Like they're the quintessential sleeper. I think we were all in agreement on that in the preseason. So but we got to give y'all the props. You and Brandon were definitely ahead on this than all the other national podcasts or national media, whatever you want to call it. We was here on it first, but I would put the Lions ahead of them. I think they can win with margin. That would be the difference for me. I'm not going to make the case, but one can make the case that the Buccaneers are a fraud team because of the point differential. I'm not going to make that case. You could kind of compare them to last year's Chiefs in that regard. Only difference is the Bucs seem to be winning these games consistently at the bottom of the 9th, right? It always seems to be Baker with the ball last, and they're just getting the job done type of thing. Just like I said about the Chiefs, how ugly it was the last 2 years, the Bucs are aesthetically pleasing to watch and winning these games. They're just now with margin. So that would be the case if you wanted to, say the Bucs are fraud. I'm not going to say that, but that would be the case. Same with the Eagles. The Eagles, I think, especially now after that game, I think they have a negative point differential. So
yeah, they haven't beat anyone.
They're definitely on fraud watch. And then, we'll see with the Bucs, but they just got so much good mojo going right now. Truly.
Kyle, I was just going to say 2 things real quick. One,
Mhm.
I would agree with you 100% if the Bucs were fully healthy, but the fact that they've been they've just been
Fair
so
enough.
decimated with injuries,
enough.
and they're winning these games.
Fair
that
enough.
I'm glad they're winning these close games with margin. And
Fair
you
enough.
said the Lions, correct? You would have.
Mhm.
We see them on Monday night, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's right.
we see them on Monday night. The Lions coming off of a loss, going to Tampa on Monday night. So I'm just saying, if the Bucs walk
Get your
out,
popcorn ready.
if the injured Bucs walk out of that game with a W, I understand the Lions have injuries in their secondary, but this awful loss, the Lions really should win this game. Dan Campbell's great off of a loss. The Bucs win this game.
Yeah, y'all might want to catch your Buccaneers Super Bowl tickets now. I mean, they were obviously most advantageous before the season, but if they win this Lions game, they're going to be, and they may already be in the top 3 or 4 favorites, but I think they will be in the top 5 favorites.
Oh, they'll be everybody's darling. Because the thing about it too is, again, Cardinals, Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Dolphins, Panthers are their last 6 games.
Dolphins up.
My goodness, if they get through this stretch, I thought they were going to go 2-3. If they get through this stretch 3-1 for next, they might not lose.